Is it their practice to respond to those letters with aliases?
No, I don't know what happened in that situation. I can't address who signed your letters or aliases.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, they both have the same last name, but different first names and different job titles. And I'm just wondering, were those documents produced in a document mill like the ones that Linda Green signs?
I don't know. As far as you're saying, they're saying the same names with or different
No,
people.
they're signing different names, but it doesn't take a handwriting expert to see that the signature is exactly the same for two people with different names. And I'm just wondering, are these documents? What I'm getting at is Wells Fargo even, looking at the complaint or at my correspondence, or are they just having some flunky in the document mill like the one that Linda Green worked at? And it's very odd that they both have the same last name, Linda Green, Dee Green, and Sharon Green. And that, it's been established already that Linda Green, who did work for Wells Fargo, was processing thousands and thousands of bank documents and signing her name as vice president, and was a auto parts shipping clerk before she worked for the document processing mill.
She told us she's never been a bank vice president. In 2003, she was a shipping clerk for auto parts.
So what I'm getting at is Wells Fargo even bothering to look at these complaints? Are they even bothering to investigate? Because it's pretty egregious mistakes when I'm very specific in my complaint about the accounts that were opened fraudulently, including account numbers and the dates that they were open and active for. And then this person, Dee Green, comes back with information on one account, not two, that was opened 4 years later.
They do have a process to read the complaints and obviously to look into them before they respond. That would be a part of the whole process. So,
one would think, but how do
situation, I don't know.
Well, yeah, one would think that would be the normal process, but then how would she possibly, when I'm specifying accounts that were opened in 2005, and she's returning information for an account that was opened in 2009, that's a 4-year mistake. And then for her to come back with information on only one account when I was very specific that there was 2 accounts, and never even bothering to look for the second account or mention it. And then when I point out that information is incorrect and they respond to another government agency, they completely omit that information because, we're in trouble, we got caught. So they completely omit that information and come up with some new information that they have my signature, which they couldn't possibly have. So I'm wondering, do they just make this stuff up? It's like, let's put this answer in this time.
No, they do not.
Are you sure, or is that your guess?
No, I'm not sure. That's not
okay, so you know now that you've just libeled yourself because you're sure that they do not do those things. And when we go to court, you prove that they do those things.
Prove on that specific letter that they did exactly what they're supposed to do or paid attention or read the letter, but that is a part of their job.
Right, but you can't say whether or not they've done their job or not, correct?
No.
Okay.
No, I cannot.
So you can see where my problem is here, and you can see where Elda Magdalena's or Magdalena's fell down on her job in terms of, I went through this whole scenario with Elda. I pointed out to her that this Dee Green person and Sharon Green were the ones who are the same person who provided false information to both of these government agencies, yet she saw fit to forward the questions that I had back to that person. By their own admission, the company who opened the accounts never filed a business registration or a fictitious name filing. None of the required documentation was ever filed, but you guys opened the accounts anyways. All I want to know is how and why that happened, and you guys will not answer that, because when you do, and you will eventually in court or to me, when you do, you're incriminating yourselves. And I'm going through this process so that when we do get to court, it saves a lot of time, because I know you're recording this conversation. Is that correct?
That's right.
Right. So it saves a lot of time. I say, can you play the recording that was made on October 18th? They'll play it, and then they'll say, well, hey, how about that? And then you'll say, and that'll be that, and it'll be over, and you guys will pay for all the damages that I have suffered throughout this process.
I understand what you're looking for, but you're at, because I understand what you're saying your theory is or what you believe happened, which I
No, I actually have documented fact.
Oh,
it's not my theory, it's documented fact of what happened. It's all in writing. I've provided documentation to you guys and to the Office of the Comptroller, but it's all, in writing. There's no theory here. It's all based in fact.
Okay.
You guys broke the law. You violated federal requirements. You don't want to admit it because it will get you in trouble, and God only knows how many other instances it will get you in trouble with. But that's not going to help you. You're going to admit it one way or the other, so you might as well just do it now and make it easy on yourselves. When we go to court, looking cooperative will go miles farther for you guys than being uncooperative and continuing to play these games with me. That pretty much tells you right there that the person who opened the accounts didn't get the required supporting documentation because it was never filed.
That sounds like that would be hard to do unless it was filed in another state. But
One would think.
Open in Utah.
Right. They were opened in Utah,
Okay.
and the name of the business, which is the name that appears on the account, did not have a DBA filing for it until March of 2009. So there's absolutely no possible way that Wells Fargo can claim that they had the proper documentation to open these accounts, because none ever existed.
And you're not saying that they used your DBA, but they didn't open an account with your name like identity theft. They just opened an account. Somebody else opened an account using your DBA.
Correct.
It wasn't a corporation or an LLC, anything like that.
Yes, it was.
It was. Oh, okay. That's not okay. So it was a DBA for a corporation or LLC?
Yes. So you see, there's a problem here.
Well, what is it? I understand you have an issue with
I know, as I said, right, and I know, as I said, they called, and I know that you can open business accounts over the phone. It says so right on your website. Your website also admonishes that if that is the case and the accounts are opened over the phone, that the business documents still have to be faxed to Wells Fargo at a later date. They never were, yet Wells Fargo never closed the accounts, never contacted me as the primary account holder to say, hey, we never received that documentation, and allowed the accounts to remain open for 4 years. I know that they called their friend and did it over the phone because I have email correspondence with the company that opened the accounts that tells me so. They also tell me in writing that they did not file a DBA. So between there being no DBA on file with the state and the company who opened the accounts with Wells Fargo claiming that they did not file a DBA, that pretty much leaves one conclusion. There was never a DBA filed, and Wells Fargo went ahead and opened these accounts without obtaining any of the required supporting documentation, and that is federal bank fraud. They put the Patriot Act into use for specific reasons. It was to make sure that the bank knew who they were opening accounts for. The Patriot Act, the Bank Secrecy Act, the Know Your Customer Act, they were all put in place for a reason, and Wells Fargo circumvented those reasons and went ahead and did what they wanted in violation of federal requirements. and I've had to pay the price for that. And now it's your turn.